You're listening to Range Minded from Independence Indoor Shooting. Before we get started, I want to remind you to find us on Facebook at facebook.com/rangemindedpodcast, and we're now on Spotify, along with Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. This is episode 43, where we bring special guest Sarah back onto the podcast to do a review on the SIG P365. We had a hard time getting a hold of one because they're so popular, but Sarah's gotten one, and she was nice enough to let us try it out, even with SIG's own brand of ammo. We had a lot of fun shooting it, so we hope you enjoy listening to episode 43 of Range Minded, the SIG P365. Hello and welcome to Range Minded. So another Steve-free episode from Independence Indoor Shooting. My name is Mark Long, and I'm joined by
Rick Kastner, Academy Director at Independence Indoor Shooting.
I'm Sarah Van Acker. I do inventory here at Independence. I'm also an instructor.
Yes, thank you. Special guest Sarah again. I don't know, you're a lot more fun than Steve, and you have a lot less dad jokes. We might have to replace him.
I don't know any dad jokes, sorry.
Thank God. Thank
Steve's
God.
replacing himself.
I enjoy Steve's dad jokes.
He's with Australian Chris right now in Salt Lake City.
Yeah,
That's
former
fun.
Special guest Australian Chris down in Salt Lake City doing their thing. So, but he'll be back next week again, so... Yeah. Steve's a traveling man. You know, he goes all over the place.
Yeah.
But
he's popular.
He's a popular guy.
You know, he's been in Guns America videos.
He's up there.
He's a big deal. So, and he's also the reason that there's all the memes and pictures on the Range Minded Facebook page, which you can find at facebook.com/rangemindedpodcast. Give us a like and some love over there if you could. So, but this episode has been a long time coming. We've wanted to do this for months, but the gun is so hard to find that we just now got our hands on one, the SIG P365.
Yes.
Thanks to Sarah. This
Sarah's
was Sarah's
very own.
Yes.
Yeah, her personal gun. We all just got done shooting a little bit of it. How long have you had it for?
Less than a year. Not very long. I jumped on it right a few months after they started coming out.
Gotcha.
How many rounds would you say do you have through it?
1,000-ish.
Okay.
I've shot it quite a bit. I do like it.
You like it, which is spoiler alert. Thanks for listening. That's been great.
Okay, bye.
No, but we're going to dive into it a little bit. We each shot it a little bit. Sarah shot it a lot. And I thought it'd be good to have your perspective on it as well, because it's your concealed carry piece now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's start with Ricky. What'd you think of it? You just overall.
I like the gun. So I carry a Glock 43.
Sarah, do you not like Glocks?
I have to tease the Glock guys a little bit. I actually like Glocks. They're a dependable gun, but man, they're so ugly.
So do you own a Glock or no?
I do not.
You don't. And you're a kind of a handgun collector.
I'm getting there.
How many do you have right now? I was curious.
Right now of my own, I have 3.
Okay.
Yes.
She
Gotcha.
has
And no
a
Glocks.
SIG 320 X5.
Yeah.
That she was just
saw
shooting.
that, which was real nice.
That was a delightful Christmas present.
Yeah, Merry
So
Christmas
your
to
husband.
Yes.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, he snuck that in.
you. Nice.
That's awesome.
Very cool. And
Yeah.
then you've got your Springfield.
Yes, my Springfield XD, my original handgun, and I love it.
And then
I'd sleep with it at night if I could. Love it.
And then the 365.
My 365.
So you've kind of got you got a rounded collection. There you go. It's,
Yes.
not like Steve that has like 7 Glock 19s for no reason.
They've all
in case
sunk.
one breaks.
They've all sunk.
Well, now that then, we're
Yeah.
okay. So we're outnumbering Ricky now because I don't have any Glocks either. This is great.
Yeah.
This is what you guys must feel like all the time. But anyway, so yeah, it's just kind of go over some basics about the SIG P365. It's a subcompact, but the cool thing is it's got 10+1 capacity.
Yes.
It's got like it's like a mic from the front
10,
desk.
What do you mean 10+1?
Well, it's got 10
normal,
round.
yeah, for the normal magazine.
Yeah.
But
I have
your
the extended
magazine
mag.
is out of the company or the regular manufacturer magazine, which is an extended, which is a 12 too.
Yeah, the extended mag is 12
Which
rounds.
I think, that's just huge.
Yeah, because the capacity for the 43 is what, 7? 6?
So it's 6+1.
Yeah.
So, you're doubling the capacity
Yeah.
in actually a smaller gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 365 is smaller than the 43.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the capacity was the main reason I got it. That was a big deal.
That's what you like the most about it?
Yes.
Nice. And you've got night sights on it now and everything.
It comes with those night sights.
It comes with night sights?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I've got the page up here because I've only seen a couple in the wild. I think one of them in the Independent Woman, somebody's got a 365 there
Yeah.
and shoots it quite well.
Is that
You've got
Teresa?
one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you've got one, Sarah, and then Mike's got one up at the front, and
Mike.
big Mike on the floor.
Did Mike get rid of his?
I don't think so.
Oh, he still has it? Okay.
I saw it a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
So,
okay, never mind. I'm wrong.
But him and I were talking about it, and he goes, "Yeah, it's kind of like it's not a double stack, it's not a single stack, it's like a stack and a half."
Yeah,
kind of
which is
thing.
different.
Which is proprietary, and I don't know much about the 43X, the Glock that they're coming out with, but they're going to launch that. They're going to unveil that at this year's SHOT Show.
Which by the time this is out, it will probably already be out. So
SHOT Show. Yeah, so SHOT Show's coming up, what is it, the 21st of January?
Yeah, so it'll be right about the time I think that this episode comes out. It'll be right about the same time. So, but it'll be interesting to see how that stacks up against it. Literally, that was a horrible. Oh God! Now I'm the guy with the dad jokes.
And I'm wondering what the 43X will do. They're just lengthening the grip. That's lame. If that's all they're doing, because you don't.
It doesn't sound like they're
grip.
doing much to it, but I guess we'll find out.
We will see.
Yeah, we will see, and we'll do a review on it if we can get our hands on one. But this, I mean, obviously the P365 popular gun because we can't even get our hands on one. It's taken us this long.
Yeah. We have a waiting list for it.
Do we really?
When they come in, they go out.
Yeah. Oh, because inventory. Duh.
That's me.
Yeah. How long do they stay on the floor? Probably what, a couple days.
They don't stay on the floor at all. We haven't been able to even get them out there. We have so many people asking.
Well, and I mean, do you have like a limit on how many you can order at a time, or?
No, but it just doesn't make any sense to order more than one because we can't get more than one at a time. We're getting some grumpy people because we had a lot of people take rain checks on them from our Black Friday deals, and they're still waiting.
Yeah.
So well, we're just kind of waiting.
But it sounds like it's a good gun to wait for.
Yes,
it's worth the wait.
It's worth it.
Yeah, so that's a little bit about what it is. We'll link to it on the Facebook and the podcast page. But Ricky, what'd you think? You shot it quite well from what it looks like.
Yeah, it's a good. Well, I mean, well in my standard. Well to other people's standard, it wouldn't be well, but it's a good gun. I like it. Now, the biggest thing to me with the SIG is the travel of the trigger. It has a way longer trigger pull.
I noticed that too.
Than the Glock 43. Mm-hmm. Which I'm used to the shorter trigger pull, which you're more. It would be interesting to dive into the internal workings of the 365 to see if it's more of a true double action versus a Glock 43 would be more of an action and a half, if that makes sense. So you have single action, double action. But Glock 43 is safe action pistol, striker fired. Mm-hmm. It's kind of in between those.
I think my Walthers are the same way. So
yeah, so I'm guessing the 365 is probably a true double action trigger pull, which is a safety feature. So it's not necessarily against it, but you just have to get used to that trigger pull.
Yeah, I was shooting quite low, and I think that's probably what it was. Is there was so much travel in it that I was kind of like. Okay, and I probably anticipated quite a bit, and that's where that was coming from. So
yeah, it takes some getting used to. It's Teresa from the women's group she had a love-hate relationship with that for some time, but she's liking it now. So
yeah. Well, because go ahead.
Well, and one thing I dry fired Mike's probably a couple months ago, and I noticed Mike is the nicest guy in the world. He lets all the customers shoot his gun, so he actually had less rounds through his own gun than customers had through his gun.
Yeah,
and I noticed one thing at the beginning when I dry fired his gun, and that's why I asked you how many rounds you've had through your gun, because at the beginning when you first get it from the manufacturer, the trigger feels mushy.
Yeah, it was different.
But it smooths up after time.
Yeah, after about 500 rounds, it was a lot different than it was when it started. Mm-hmm. Big difference.
Yeah, so I noticed it was a little bit more crisp, but I think Mike's was more crisp because he's had even more rounds through it.
Yeah.
So just in a short period of time. So that's good. I mean, I think the sear connection with the striker, and again, I haven't had it apart, so I haven't seen what it's like, but I'm guessing that smooths over after time and burrs go away so that it's not as mushy.
Yeah, it breaks
It's
in
a little bit more crisp. Which normal guns are going to have a break-in period anyway. So, but it shot good. The follow-up shots were nice. Rapid fire. I shot at 10 yards and 5 yards, and they were definitely I mean, that's definitely a vital area right there.
Yeah.
So
it looks good.
So anyway, and then accuracy, the sights are a little bit weirder for me just because I'm used to the Glock sights.
You have that Glock.
Yeah, I noticed that the 365, the front sight post is a little thinner. Mm-hmm. I'm used to the fatter front sight post, so it's easier.
Oh, really?
For me visually.
I thought the front sight was actually a little bit wider than what I'm used to. So
yeah. So
maybe it's right in the middle there.
So visually, it's just hard. Like, you know, when you're used to something, and then you're shooting a different gun, you have to kind of. But it's nothing you can't overcome. It just takes training.
Just getting used to it.
But other than that, we'll get into the actual 365 ammo later. But we shot that as well. The hollow points that are actually designed specifically for this gun. But
which is pretty cool actually if you think about it. Just that it all works kind of together. So, but I thought the trigger was a little long for my taste. But like just getting used to. It was pretty crisp, I thought, for the most part. Just, that long kind of first initial press. And it felt really good in the hand. I mean, it's really comfortable.
Yeah, it feels great in your hand.
It doesn't feel like a small gun. It kind of just fits to the contours of your hand pretty well. I got larger hands, and I thought that fit pretty well. The sights are really nice. I like the big green dot in the front. That really helps. It's just wider than what I'm used to, I guess. And I liked as a lefty. So one thing that I've decided as a lefty, I just have given up on trying to find the perfect lefty gun. And I've just learned I'm just going to start adapting. The slide release is a little bit elongated. So I can actually hit it with my index finger, my left index finger, which is something I've been looking at. Which is why I want to get an CZ75 SP01 tactical now.
Well, I'm curious. The 365, I didn't remember to look at the ambidextrous features. Can you switch the mag release over to the other side?
I believe you can switch the mag release, but don't quote me on that.
I'd be surprised if you couldn't. Yeah, and the slide lock's not ambidextrous. No. I think I have not found a subcompact pistol that has an ambidextrous slide release. I found like the M&P 9C does, the FNS 9C does. I think the Glock 19 does. Yeah, the 5th gen now does. Even like the PPQ-SC does, but like the PPS, no ambidextrous slide release. 365, same deal. Glock 43, same deal. So I've just said, well, forget it. I'll just learn. The
world is made for right-handers.
It sure is. So I'm disabled, and I just have to learn to live with my disability. So, what I've done is just I've trained now to use my index finger, and having that elongated, that little bit extra metal there to actuate it is actually quite helpful. Because with the mag release, I use my middle finger, so that doesn't bother me much anymore. But that was a nice feature. I thought SIG was thinking. So
they're so nice.
But it's a SIG, so the ergonomics are great. It feels great in the hand. It's small. I mean, it doesn't feel small, but it's small because we set it up next to Ricky's Glock 43 and my Walther PPS, and
it's smaller than both of those.
Smaller than all three. Yeah, it's thinner. It's shorter. It's the grip's shorter. Yeah,
you cannot. If I were, there's just no going around it. I'm a Glock guy.
Yeah,
I love Glock, but you cannot argue with the 365 as being an awesome gun. The price point is priced at competitively with Glock. It's
a $529.
Yeah. So see,
is that the MSRP or is that the street price?
That's our price.
Okay. You shared our secrets.
No, not our price. Our price, our retail price.
On the floor.
Right.
And then the round capacity. So you have great MSRP on it, which SIGs are normally higher priced, but they price that down low to be competitive with Glock. Mm-hmm. And at least I'm assuming that's what happened. And then you have the round capacity. It's a huge deal.
It's a big deal.
You're doubling the round capacity. So say I'm a person that I don't want to carry an extra mag on me.
I don't either. Where am I going to put it?
Yeah, so exactly. It's like unless you have the holster, that gets cumbersome. Now, I know people are going to be out there saying it's always good to have an extra mag just in case that mag does malfunction. Yes, that is a good thing. But what if you don't? I have a Glock 43. I can only fit 7 rounds in it unless I get a Terran Tactical extension or something like that.
Yeah.
But with the SIG, it comes with one 10 rounder and one 12 rounder.
Yes.
And so, I mean, that's awesome.
It is awesome.
So, well, and then switching gears back over to concealability. I mean, this is your concealed carry piece.
Yes.
And you told me you forget that you're carrying it. It's so comfortable.
Yeah, it's nice and light.
Yeah. And can I ask how do you carry it?
I carry on about the 5 o'clock position. Okay. 4:30.
That's way back there.
Yeah, it's pretty far back there, but I found that's the most comfortable for me when I'm sitting, and because I stand up and sit down, I have to bend over a lot when I'm in the warehouse and stuff. So if I'm carrying it, that's the best for me. It doesn't get in my way.
Yeah.
I don't notice it.
And so yeah, like you said, you don't notice it. It's comfortable, and it doesn't print or anything like that.
It doesn't print. I think any gun I carry is going to print, it seems like, but this one prints less than just about everything I've tried. I started with my Springfield XD, and it's that double stack, and it was always printing. So this is really nice. The way having it at that 5 o'clock position for usually it's perfect.
Yeah, it just fits right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is, like Ricky said, I think this is kind of a response to people. You go online, people go, "Oh, you should carry a double stack, or you should carry a single stack with an extra mag, or blah 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 blah, or just single stack's enough." You'll find any opinion you want online. So I think companies have, especially SIG, obviously been listening to this, and so now they've been able to pack more rounds into a smaller package.
Well, and you look at with John Correa, we've mentioned him a lot on this podcast, but with the active self-protection, he finds that very few people actually do mag changes. It's usually, I think, actually every case has been a law enforcement officer, and you think about all the training law enforcement. Well, I can't say that, all the training, but the training that they generally are supposed to do.
Yes.
In law enforcement. So, but he's never seen it actually in a civilian.
That's my opinion, is if you are in a situation where you have enough time to do a mag change, you should be getting away.
Yeah. And leave the scene. Versus law enforcement would be different, right?
Yes. If you're a police officer, you're going to stay there and go into it, but I want to get away.
Well, and I just think of, also that they found that you might think that you shot 2 rounds, but in real life you actually emptied your magazine of 17 rounds or whatever you're carrying. And so when you think about 6 rounds downrange versus 12 rounds downrange, I mean it's self-explanatory. The more rounds, it's your friend.
Yeah, well, and carrying another mag is just another thing you have to carry, and if you're going to appendix carry, I mean, a lot of holsters have that, like the sidecar kind of thing. Like if you look at T-Rex arms or Tier 1 concealed or whatever, they have those ambidextrous, the man, I'm not firing.
Well, they have the extra mag pouch.
Yeah, they have the sidecar with the extra mag pouch for your appendix carry or whatever, but that takes up your entire front half. And so your chances to print, I think, are a little bit bigger and all that. So if you can carry more rounds in just a smaller package with less number of things you have to carry anyway, because that mag is going to take up space somewhere, And I've seen things like the Neo Mag or whatever, where you can put it in your pocket or, and have it there. But if you have keys, a cell phone, all that kind of stuff, it's just a lot to carry.
Yeah, that gets bulky. So we have I have a Snag Mag, and Snag Mag, it's a good product. But yeah, I mean, I carry my flashlight here. I have my cell phone in this one. I have, my keys on the other side. Where the heck am I going to put that Snag Mag? And then it's big, and I can't even get my
pockets generally, and all their pants are about half size. So
that's if they're even really there at all. Sometimes they're just there for pockets. Show. Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. So you don't even have the real estate that guys do to be able to.
Yeah. So carrying an extra mag is really, it's not an option for me. I don't want to have to do it.
Right. And so you can have more. So I think that's a big selling point for that is that extra capacity. So, but recoil wasn't too bad despite it, being a smaller gun, and obviously smaller guns are a little harder to shoot accurately. I shot it okay. I'm just embarrassed. I haven't shot in like a month, so I just didn't shoot very well at all.
You didn't keep your or your target.
No, it's embarrassing. I don't want to talk about it, but it seemed like, and maybe you, Ricky, you can or either of you can confirm or deny, but it seems like the bore axis is a little higher than it would be on the Glock.
Well, because as far as I know, Glock still has the copyright on that.
On what?
On the bore axis, on the low riding bore axis. I think the way that Glock is designed, they were the original. So Glocks are going to sit lower.
Right.
You have your XDs that sit higher.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone can get as low as a Glock.
Right. The only one
without infringing on copyright issues.
The only ones that I would think of is like the CZs that have the frame, that have the slide in the frame. But that's the difference. And those were, I think, made even before Glock came out. So
the issue with those that I know you said you don't mind it, but I hate that because like the CZ75.
Yeah.
Because you can't. I mean,
it's really hard to get a grip on and rack.
I go to grab with my whole hand, and then I have to like pinch
with your fingers.
CZs
That's very difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
When we get them in the store, I'm like,
dang it, because I always end up grabbing the whole frame and dang it.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't bother me. But then, we've talked about this before. It just comes down to personal preference. Really, that's really all what it comes down to. So, what do you like about? Your 365, either compared to other stuff you've tried or your other guns even, because it seems to fit in that concealed carry window for you. So what do you like about it, Sarah?
It's light. Light was the weight was a big deal because, again, with that XD, the double stack, when you have a full magazine, it gets heavy after carrying all day.
Is your XD a 45?
It's a 9.
Oh, it's a 9, okay.
And the SIG, that 365 is so light. So that's why I don't notice it half the time, because even with the full mag, it's no big deal. It doesn't, pull my belt down or anything like that. And again, it doesn't print. It's nice and smooth, even with that little bit of, I don't want to call it stippling because that's not really, but it's got
just
kind
a
of
texturing.
Yeah, texturing on that grip. It doesn't catch on my clothes or anything. And it's a great little concealed carry gun because it's so thin and it's not a Glock, so yay.
So it's great, yeah. And you said you've had it for a little under a year. Have you been concealed carrying it the whole time?
It took me a little while to find a holster for it, but once I got the holster, then yeah.
They actually make a specific holster. See, SIG really has done really well with this gun.
Well, I got that appendix kit. The appendix holster I have is the SIG.
Oh yeah,
and no, it didn't work for Sarah.
Well,
I'm still on the hunt.
The problem with that one is you can't even put an ulti clip on there, can you?
No, it's very,
because of the way it's bolted. It's not in line.
It's sad. I'm gonna try and I gotta find something because I really would like to carry this gun appendix.
You would have to drill some new holes into that and then put the ulti clip in that.
Just like any holster issue.
It's a
hunt.
The struggle to find the perfect holster, man. It's a struggle for anybody everywhere.
Yeah.
So, but that's, like what Ricky said. I mean, they've really done a good job, kind of what I would call complete marketing, I guess, for the whole thing, because not only do they have the holsters for it and they've got all the accessories for it, but they've got the ammo for it. Mm-hmm. They got the SIG defensive ammo that... You can probably explain it better than me, but it's built. This is just manufactured specifically for the 365. Yes. Is that what you run then when you're out and about?
That's what I carry. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
This is not me necessarily doing research, so the listeners can know that. They could do a little bit more research, but from what I understand, the SIG has specifically designed their defensive load.
Yeah.
For this gun, so that all the powder, it's a specific kind of powder, and it burns in that short barrel. Versus you pick up a regular defensive load, say critical defense, load for Glock 43. You're going to have some of that powder that's unburned fly out the end of the barrel and not doing anything for your shot. It's not building
making a fireball.
Yeah, it's basically just making and it's just pouring out on the floor. And at the end, you really actually notice it when you're sweeping up at the end of the day out in the range, because you're sweeping up piles of unburned powder that people are just it's worthless. So SIG has designed this powder so that it's completely burned by the time that bullet exits the barrel. Which is awesome, because you're getting the perfect amount of velocity out of that round, so the performance is spot on.
It seems to work well. I'm no expert, but I like it.
And I haven't looked at the actual studies of it, but the theory behind it makes sense.
The price is about the same as other defensive ammo, so it's kind of...
Might as well run it with what it's got. Yeah. Well, I was just reading about it too real quick, and it's basically just talking about, training with what you carry and that kind of stuff. And so following that philosophy, which is a sound philosophy, you might as well go with what's kind of been manufactured for it.
Yeah.
Which no other manufacturer in my
I don't think anybody else has done that.
Has ever done anything like that. So SIG is really ahead of their time.
Oh, Sarah, can you imagine the Glock fanboys if they came out with Glock brand ammo?
Oh my goodness. That would...
Well, and it'll be vastly superior to SIG ammo.
I only have my GlocKRange Glock with my Glock brand ammo, and I'm just at the pinnacle of firearms.
If you don't shoot Glock with Glock, then you're an idiot.
Losing. Yeah.
I bet you that'll happen though, because Glock has really held the market as far as concealed handguns.
Oh, absolutely. That's before that 365. It was all Glock 43.
I mean, you have the Shield EZ, which is on fire too, but that 365 really just kind of swept in and totally took. And that's a double hit on Glock if you think about it, because Glock lost to SIG, the SIG 320 for the military contract.
Yep.
And now they're getting
poor Glock.
They're getting smashed by the 365. And
the other companies are seeing what's popular for Glock, and I mean that's pretty much what they've always done. See what's popular with Glock and make their own version, make it a little bit better. And
you have kind of a cocky attitude with Glock. Better.
Yeah.
Because on their box, I mean, it says Glock perfection, and they say, well, it's perfect already. Why change it?
Yeah. And how many people
and then they change it.
Yeah. How many people in the shop have Gucci'd out Glocks with triggers, slides, red dots, ported, everything? I mean, stippled. I mean, but I mean, that's kind of the thing is that Glocks, I mean, that's kind of the reputation, at least in my mind, is that you customize and you make it how you want.
There's parts everywhere for it. You can
versus a 365. It's not there.
It's pretty limited. Yeah.
I was going to say, if there were options, would you change anything on your 365 or?
I don't think so. The night sights indoors in the shooting range are a little challenging to see, but chances are, if I'm in any sort of encounter, it's not going to be in broad daylight under fluorescent lights. So
right.
Well, I like the night sights.
Have you shot it in any low light?
No.
Okay.
No, but that'd be awesome.
I wanted to, but there was a customer out there, so
if we had the range to ourselves,
I want to switch that.
Because those sights are bright in the dark.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's nice,
and it's cool that it comes with night sights, because usually that's something that you have to spend another $150 on after the fact or whatever.
The first models didn't have the night sights. They just came. I don't remember.
Standard.
So and that was a couple months in. They started adding those night sights.
Yeah, so that's a nice kind of feature to have. You mentioned, and I don't think we expanded on it too much out at the range, but you said it's a little picky on ammo? Yeah,
it seemed to be when I first started it, and I don't know if that was just maybe coming out of the shoot or what, but it did seem to shoot a little differently with the just the regular training ammo.
Is it picky with loading, or it's just picky with shooting it?
Just shooting it. Okay. Loading it was fine, but... And it's like I said to you guys, I don't know if it's like a psychological thing or what, but once I started shooting the 365 ammo, I was like, oh, well, everything's fine.
I liked it. I do want to mention with the 365 ammo, because that, and I don't know if this is in my mind, I haven't seen the actual graph on this, but I would assume that pressure is spiking really, really fast in the 365 ammo because they're having to burn. That's a really fast burning powder. Yeah. So the pressure is just up there. It's almost like shooting a 40. It's snappy, very, very snappy. So in a smaller gun, that might be hard for some people to manage that snappy recoil versus a lower.
I didn't notice that it was that much more recoil.
Well, I think those of us with the limp wristing issues here and there, will notice it.
Okay.
I've seen a few of them struggle with that a little bit, but it's an issue that can be overcome.
Yeah, it's training.
Yeah.
Well, and it might be something, I'm thinking of like a woman that's just getting into carrying. Maybe the SIG ammo is not the first ammo to start with. It's something to warm up into, because I could see generally speaking, if somebody's brand new to firearms, they don't know what to expect on that first round.
Yeah.
But if that first round is holy cow, that was intimidating.
Yeah.
Then they're going to start flinching. There's a lot of issues. So if you just start with regular, just ball FMJ ammo, that's probably the best way to start. And I'm assuming that's where everybody's pretty much going to start anyway. You're not going to go to the range to shoot hollow points,
right?
No,
but SIG does make. They do make hollow points, and they do make FMJ ammo.
Oh,
so
we'll have to get some.
Yeah, we'll have to get some and try that out too. So, and I don't know what the price is on their SIG ammo, or their
well, they probably do that. They probably do that because it's a lower price point on the FMJ,
right?
But it's the same characteristics as what's on the hollow point, which is another smart thing if they're doing that, because then you can train with FMJ cheaper, but still be getting the same feel that you would get out of your hollow points.
But yeah, I can see where it would be a little bit off-putting with that. It's a little snappy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. But I guess like if you train with the FMJ, then maybe you do get that same kind of feel or whatever. So we'll have to see how that works out. So
happy to experiment.
Is there anything? Yeah, is there anything you don't like about it? Anything you would change on it? Maybe like not even accessory wise, but just like in general.
Not really. I think it's a great little gun. Mm-hmm. I haven't been able to come up with anything that I don't like about it. Even cleaning it was pretty easy. So.
Yeah. Well, that's what you mentioned when you use the SIG ammo, that there really is not hardly any powder to clean out.
Yeah, and when I was using the training ammo, it was full of powder, so that was a difference. But it's not cost effective to practice with that hollow point, so it's just going to have powder in it.
Yeah. So what do you think? Maybe it compares, and I know it's a caliber difference, but like, for female concealed carry. What do you think maybe how it compares to like the Shield EZ or even the Shield 9 or anything like that? Any of the other major heavy hitters?
I don't think anything compares to that EZ yet. That EZ is just, for the women, is, such a game changer. I love that thing. Just everything about it, the recoil, the slide lock, racking that slide is unbelievable. The only issue I have with the EZ is the grip. The way that... grip safety is pivoted. It makes it very difficult. If you don't have a very strong grip on that, it won't fire.
Right.
And it's very off-putting to many of the women who are not used to having to hold on so tight.
Sure.
But do you think that's actually a good thing because it makes them do it?
To an extent. A lot of them get so frustrated that they start trying to accommodate and hold it wrong. And it's been kind of an ongoing issue. Some of the guns have the problem, some of them don't. I don't know if it's the shooter or the gun. So that's it with the EZ. So comparing it to the SIG, I don't know. If someone was to ask me which one I would pick, personally, I would pick the SIG.
Right.
But I like a 9.
Well, and it's very interesting that we tie these two together. So you have the SIG that kind of changed, the 365 that changed the name of the game a little bit in the concealed carry market. But you also have the EZ. The EZ is so far not chambered in 9. I'm guessing that's probably going to change.
Yeah, as soon as it does, I'm going to have one.
It's going to be huge. But the problem that you have with the EZ is it's a single stack.
Yeah.
And what if there's a blending of that? Because still the 365, you have still the same challenge of, and I'm guessing what their problem is they can't make the slide as easy to rack in a 9mm, whereas they can with the 380 because it's a lower recoiling round, or it's a lower pressure round, I should say. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there's a merge, because you have Glock now who's wanting to compete for this market, and they have two different manufacturers that's not Glock that has changed the name of the game in concealed carry firearms. And how are they going to respond? What is this 43X?
Yeah, 43X and the 48, and
I just don't know how it's going to be able to compete with that EZ slide.
Yeah,
it's just it's a game changer for people. From what I've seen, the women and the people with arthritis,
grip issues,
who can't rack that slide well.
Yeah,
there's no other gun out there that racks that well. There's some that rack easier, but not. I
have a lot of guys that love that gun.
Yeah,
like they're like, you can see when they come to you and their knuckles are big, and you're like, okay, total arthritis is going on there, and they can't they can't, there's no way they're ever going to be able to manipulate. And so normally back in the day, people would just say, okay, the revolver is the best way for you. But now the EZ it's kind of opening doors for people who are otherwise unable to shoot a semi-auto handgun.
Which is good to get more people into the sport of shooting.
Yes.
So
I love that gun.
So for concealed carry, when you were looking around, were you considering any other pistol, or were you kind of just dead set on 365?
I hate to admit it, but I was looking at the 43.
Oh, buddy.
But the thing that held me back from that was the capacity. I wanted something that could shoot more, and it just didn't exist. So that 365 was just like, I have to get one. It'd be stupid not to. I had bought the Walther CCP.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't very forgiving to my limp wrist issues. But I'm certain that was all it was, but I blamed it on the gun at the time and returned and actually traded it in for the 365.
That's interesting, because the CCP was all about the soft recoil technology.
That's exactly why I got it. Yeah. And it was easier to rack a little bit. And it was actually a nice gun. I got constant malfunctions. And, in retrospect, it was a limp wrist, but at the time I was like, this gun sucks.
Well, and that's the funny thing too, because I think there's somebody in the women's the independent woman who has
she has
CCP,
one and she loves it,
and she works really well with it. So but it's just funny that you talk about the limp wristing issues, because it's all about, they market it as the soft recoil technology, and it's easier to rack, and all that was kind of their foray into that whole thing. And I'll even say I don't think the execution was great on it. It could have been a lot better.
Yeah. Well, before that, too, I mean, as far as getting into the women market, you had the SIG 938 and 238.
I hate those things.
Which a lot of women love those prior to the 365 coming out, because they were easier to rack. But the problem is they weren't striker fire, they were single action.
Well, the 938, it's not so bad, and I can rack that just fine, and I actually kind of like it. It's cute. But the 238, every time one comes into the store and I have to rack that thing back, I cuss at it, and it's terrible because it's just so small.
It's tiny.
You can't, and the slide is still unforgiving, so you have to really maneuver, and it's kind of like a little pocket pistol, and those are all so difficult to rack because they're too tiny. You can't get a good grip on them.
Well, and they're hard to shoot for the same reason.
Yes.
So another question, you've got that Springfield XD.
Yes.
So how come you didn't want to go with XDS?
I do. I actually think the XDS Mod 2, on my long list of the next guns I will have, it's on there. The XDS at the time had a really aggressive grip. It looked like a waffle iron almost. It was too much for me, and the capacity, I don't think it had a really good capacity either.
I don't think so.
And the newer one, one of the instructors here bought one, and I held it, and I wanted it immediately.
I think the XDS has 7-round, right?
Yeah, it's still not huge.
And all it is it's just longer. It's a longer grip than what you would get in the 43.
Yeah.
And it's actually an overall, I don't think it's comparable to what we're even discussing today, because you have the 43, the Mark's Walther. What was it again? Walther.
The PPS.
And then your 365. But your XDS even is still bigger than those.
Yeah, it's a little... Yeah. It's just different. Like you said, that bigger slide, it's thinner. It's a lot thinner, but but it's a Springfield. Oh my gosh, I love my Springfield.
Yeah, because that's what I was curious where you go across, the family line, but you also have that 320 now.
Yes,
so
I'm becoming a big fan of the SIG.
Not such a brand loyalist to Springfield anymore, I guess.
It just feels so good in my hand. I have long fingers, and so the grips, they feel amazing, like they were made for my hand. And the grip angle is nice.
That's something to say when I'm giving kudos to a SIG, because generally speaking, I don't like SIG. I see them as... I love the 938 series, or those two guns, 938, 238, 365. I look at a 320 and I'm like, that is freaking bulky.
It's a big gun.
It is.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to carry it. It would not be my concealed carry.
It's a big old gun, but
the X5, they really did a good job making it look sleek.
It's an awesome gun.
Yeah, it looks good. You shot it pretty well. You couldn't help yourself when we were testing out the 365.
Got to play with it a little.
Yeah,
it needs some. It's got that SIG trigger, but we'll fix that a little bit.
That's
perfect.
That's one thing, is there's a lurch on, and we keep switching between guns what we're talking about, but that I noticed on the X5 is there's that striker hits with so much forward momentum that it actually lurches the whole gun. If you don't have a good strong grip on it and a good posture, that gun will lurch forward just on the forward motion of that striker, which is interesting. Like that the spring seems very
too strong,
like, but I don't know. I mean, engineers are doing this stuff, so they're a lot smarter than I am, but it just seems like it doesn't need to have that much power to it.
Yeah. But that just goes, I mean, that kind of all of this goes to show that, when you pick out a concealed carry piece or any gun, really, you have to first think about what the specific purpose is, because you're not going to buy an X5 to conceal carry.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you probably didn't buy your XD initially to concealed carry, right?
I did buy the XD to concealed carry. Yeah, okay. That was I did so much research and I thought it would be perfect. And unfortunately, I didn't think about the printing issue.
So it didn't turn out that way. Like I thought I could conceal carry my PPQ, which it's winter now, so I probably could get away with it. But still a little big. I'd rather carry the PPS, so you have to consider what you're going to be doing with it. You have to like shooting it.
Yes.
And then, you have to consider just what fits the best for you. It's such a personal choice. That's why there are so many different manufacturers out there and different models and things like that, especially because you mentioned the last time we had you on about, you're built differently than everybody else. Yes. Ricky's built differently than I am, et cetera, et cetera. And so different size guns are going to print differently on different people. Or, like you said, you can't carry an appendix, or maybe you can, or some people can't, so there's all different kinds of things that you have to consider going into that. So
yeah, it's all very subjective.
Very personal.
Yes.
So, but hey, that's go buy a P365 if you can find one.
Yeah, good luck to you.
Do we have any in the shop right now?
0.
Yeah.
No, we have people calling and wondering where their special orders are.
It's amazing. It was unveiled last year's SHOT Show. We're 1 year from that time and we still can't get them.
Yeah,
the Glocks haven't been like that. You think of the Glock Gen 5 series.
We've got quite a bit of those.
For the first... Actually, we got quite a few of them in, and then we were like, "Oh, it's going to be this big sale!" And we were actually one of the ranges selected to make this big push. And I can't remember when we launched that, but after that, we still had some on the shelf, and I was like, it didn't clear out like the 365 did.
No.
But that might also be kind of a.
I'm wondering if it's kind of a marketing.
Yeah, SIG might just be kind of just leaking them so that it drives up
creating demand,
creates the demand a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that if I could get past the trigger, I think it'd be a fantastic carry gun for me.
My thought is that trigger is kind of off-putting, but my thought is in a self-defense situation, you're going to be yanking that trigger like crazy. Matter. You're not even going to be thinking about it.
Yanking the garbage out of it.
As long as you keep practicing and you know what's going to happen when you pull the trigger.
And that's another thing, is just getting used to the guns that you either carry or that you practice or compete with, because and renting different guns and shooting different guns, it takes a little, it's like getting into a different car, and so once I kind of you figure out, okay, this is what I'm doing, getting used to the intricacies of this gun, I can shoot it a little bit better. But if it pull out the Walther and I can shoot just fine, even if I haven't shot in a month, it's just familiar. It's almost muscle memory. So just like when you were talking about in the last episode, the difference between long range shooting and handgun shooting, where you have to be more cognizant of that,
get used to those
1 pound trigger. So, well, I'd say that's a resounding thumbs up from all three of us. I'm sure Steve, if he were here, would probably say the same thing. I don't know. Have you talked to Steve about the?
Oh, I think I'm pretty certain Steve shot the 365. I believe.
Steve's
I'm pretty
a smart
sure
man, so he will probably love it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure he really likes the 365. So
yeah, even though he's got like 7,000 Glocks,
Dang it.
At one point.
But you know what? Nobody's perfect, Sarah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We all have our little flaws.
Yeah. So let us know what you think of the P365. Maybe you carry it. Maybe you've got one. Maybe you want one. I'd say come to Independence and check it out, but we don't got one.
We can put you on a list.
Yeah, very long
we don't even
list.
have one in a rental cabinet.
Yeah, I know. So. What the heck? So we'll have to change that, hopefully. But
after SHOT Show, the next big thing will come along, and we'll get. I'm sure we'll get our 365s. The 365s will be readily available.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and then people will realize that Glock does make perfection.
Oh God.
The 43X will be the.
They're going to run out of numbers sooner or later.
I know.
We're going to be ended up with like the Glock 400.
The Glock Infinite.
They'll just start calling them like the 65K.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Actually, if they were smart, they would make it the Glock Infinite and make it like, that'd be like their modular system. Because the possibilities are infinite.
There you go.
Hey, look at that.
Hey, Glock, if you ever want to hire me. No, I'm really good at marketing. But no, let us know what you think. Podcast at iishooting.com. Facebook.com/range-minded podcast. Sarah, thanks for letting us shoot your 365.
Oh, glad to share.
So, and also, if you guys have listened to these last 2 episodes with Sarah on it, if you want her to become a main host.
If you want to listen to my melodic voice.
That's right. Well, Jessica said that Mark had a soothing voice, so we need somebody else with a very mellow voice too, so you guys can kind of just
calming voice. We could put everyone to sleep. Is that what?
Yeah.
What we are looking for is we're looking to put them into a trance, so that we can addict them to the podcast.
That might work.
So buy stuff from Independence.
Yeah, kind of like subliminal messages, sort of that.
Quit buying Glock.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
At least buy Glocks from us.
Yeah. Yes, there you go.
For real though, if you guys like Sarah being on the podcast and you want her to be a main thing, you have to tell us so that I can tell her that she's required.
I usually have to be forced.
Yeah, she has to be coerced.
Until I volunteer.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on again, though, and for your opinions. It's a good, it rounds us out very well.
That's fun.
So, yeah. So, well, thank you for listening, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Range Minded. Find us online at Range Minded Podcast on Facebook, or send us an email at podcast@iishooting.com. We're always happy to get feedback, episode suggestions, whatever you want to send us, really. And be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and pretty much wherever else you get your podcasts from. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.